Let's begin. The weight of betrayal is not something that crashes into you all at once. It seeps in like a slow, creeping poison, taking hold of your body, your mind, your very soul, before you even realize you've been infected. That's what it felt like for me. I remember the exact moment my world started to crumble. It wasn't some grand revelation, no explosive confrontation. It was a whisper in the wind, a nagging voice in the back of my mind that told me something was wrong. Isabella, my wife, my partner, the woman I had built my life with, had changed. At first, it was subtle. The way she'd leave her phone face down on the table. The way she'd smile at her screen, but never share what was so funny. The way she suddenly started dressing differently, bolder, more alluring, as if she had someone to impress. I wanted to believe it was nothing, that we had just fallen into a routine, that I was being paranoid. But the truth? The truth was far more sinister. It started on a quiet evening. She had come home late, again. Her excuse was the usual: work meetings, late deadlines, unavoidable responsibilities. But I wasn't a fool. I had already done my digging. I had seen the text messages, the hidden conversations, the goodnight texts she sent to a number I didn't recognize. Julian, a name that meant nothing to me. A name that, soon enough, would mean everything. I remember sitting at the kitchen table that night, watching her as she moved around our home with a practiced ease, completely unaware that I knew her secret. She kissed my cheek absent-mindedly. "You okay?" she asked. I nodded, smiled even. "Yeah, just tired." She didn't notice the way I clenched my jaw, the way my grip tightened around my glass. She didn't see the storm brewing behind my calm facade. But that was okay, because she had no idea what was coming. I wasn't going to confront her. No, that would be too easy, too simple. If she thought she could betray me and walk away unscathed, she was sorely mistaken. I was going to make sure she felt every ounce of the pain she had inflicted on me. And Julian? Julian was about to learn that some men aren't so easily replaced. I could have exploded that night, could have thrown her phone in her face, demanded answers, screamed until my throat was raw. But that's what she would have expected. That's what cheaters expect. Rage, tears, begging. I wasn't going to give her that. Instead, I played my role, the doting husband, the oblivious fool. I needed more. More proof. More leverage. So, I started my investigation. I installed a program on her phone. Something simple, something undetectable. It mirrored her messages to my laptop, a quiet stream of betrayal that unfolded before my eyes in real time. The conversations weren't vague. They weren't hesitant. They were passionate, explicit. I read messages that made my stomach churn. Promises whispered in the dark, plans to meet, confessions of love. And then, the real dagger. "I wish I had met you first." Those words. I sat in my office, staring at the screen, my pulse a slow, steady drum in my ears. She wished she had met him first. Not me. Not the man who had built a life with her, who had given her everything. That was when the anger truly took hold. I wasn't just going to expose her. I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to make sure she regretted every single choice she had made. Because if Isabella wanted Julian so badly, I was going to give them exactly what they deserved. I was going to ruin them both. Revenge isn't about anger. It's about control. So, I took control. I started small, little things that she wouldn't notice right away. She liked to think she was the one playing me, but I had already flipped the board. First, I planted doubts. I started changing my schedule, going out late, coming home smelling of perfume that wasn't hers. I wanted her to wonder, to feel that gnawing uncertainty. It worked. "Where were you last night?" she asked one evening, her voice laced with something close to suspicion. I smirked. "Out. Had a drink with an old friend." That was all I said. No details. No explanation. She didn't like that. Good. Let her feel what I felt. But that was just the beginning. Because I wasn't just going to make her doubt me. I was going to turn her entire world upside down. And when I was done, she wouldn't even recognize the life she had tried to betray. The first sign of my plan working was the way Isabella started watching me. At first, it was subtle. The way her eyes followed me when I walked past. The slight crease in her brow when I came home late without an explanation. But then, her paranoia started to grow. She began asking too many questions. "Who were you with? What's been keeping you out so late? Are you okay? You've been acting different." I wanted to laugh. Different? That was rich, coming from the woman who had been sneaking around behind my back, sending texts to her other man while lying in bed next to me. But I didn't react. I let her squirm. I let her feel the creeping doubt, the whisper of paranoia that she had so carelessly introduced into our marriage. And then I planted more seeds. One night, while she was in the shower, I left my phone unlocked on the nightstand, just barely within her reach. I knew she wouldn't be able to resist. A single message was left open on the screen, strategically placed. Last night was unforgettable. Can't stop thinking about it. When can we do it again? I didn't actually send it to anyone. It was a draft, a decoy. But Isabella didn't know that. She read it. I saw the way her fingers trembled when she put my phone back. The way she stared at me, her lips slightly parted, as if debating whether to ask. But she didn't, because she was afraid. Afraid that she had lost me before she could decide if she truly wanted to. Good, because I wasn't hers anymore. Not really. The cracks in her perfect little world were starting to show. I watched as she became more and more anxious, as if she could feel the walls closing in. The late-night texting stopped. The secret smiles at her phone disappeared. The perfume that wasn't mine no longer clung to her skin when she came home. She was pulling away from Julian, exactly as I had planned. I knew she was fighting an internal battle. Did she really want to throw away our marriage? Was Julian worth it? And most importantly, was I already moving on? One night, she tried to seduce me. She wore the black silk lingerie I had once loved, the one that used to drive me crazy. I let her touch me, let her lips brush against my skin. But the moment she leaned in to kiss me, I pulled away. Not tonight, I said coldly, stepping back. The confusion in her eyes, the panic, that was priceless. It wasn't rejection, it was punishment. For every night I'd stayed awake, wondering if she was in someone else's bed. For every lie she had whispered while looking me straight in the eyes. For every moment she had made me doubt my own worth. She didn't deserve my touch anymore. She didn't deserve me. And for the first time, she knew it. With Isabella slowly unraveling, I moved on to Julian. It was time for him to understand the cost of his actions. I did my research. I found out everything. Where he worked, where he lived, who he spent his time with, and more importantly, who he was lying to. Because, surprise, surprise, Julian wasn't as single as Isabella had believed. He had a fiancée. Her name was Claire. A sweet-looking woman who had no idea that the man she planned to marry was spending his nights with someone else's wife. I wasn't going to just expose him. No, I was going to destroy him. The night I put my final plan into motion, I made sure Isabella was home. I wanted her to see it. I took my phone, typed a message, and hit send. To Claire, you deserve to know the truth about Julian. Check your email. Inside that email was everything. Screenshots of messages, hotel receipts, even a picture of him and Isabella, caught in an intimate moment. I had hired someone to follow them weeks ago. I had proof. 15 minutes later, Isabella's phone buzzed. Julian was calling. She hesitated before answering, and I watched her face go pale as he yelled through the line. Did you tell someone? Claire just found out. She's leaving me. What the hell is going on? Isabella's voice shook. I don't know, but I saw the flicker of realization in her eyes. She knew. She knew it was me. And for the first time since this all began, she was afraid of me. The next morning, I sat across from Isabella at breakfast, watching her poke at her food, her mind obviously elsewhere. She had barely spoken since the night before. Then, finally, she whispered, "Did you do this?" I took a sip of my coffee, smiled. Do what? Her lip trembled. She knew. She knew that I had exposed Julian, that I had burned her fantasy world to the ground. She knew that I wasn't the man she could manipulate anymore. And that's when I leaned in and whispered, "I gave you exactly what you deserved." Her breath hitched. She didn't say another word, because deep down, she knew this wasn't over. Not yet. Isabella thought she had control. She thought she could cheat, lie, and manipulate without consequences. But now, she sat across from me at the breakfast table, eyes hollow, her fingers trembling as she gripped her coffee cup. She was breaking. Julian had been exposed. His engagement to Claire? Over. His reputation? Destroyed. His once perfect life? Shattered beyond repair. And Isabella? She was next. But I wasn't done watching her suffer. Not yet. I wanted her to feel the slow, excruciating pain of losing everything, just like she had done to me. So, I twisted the knife. "How's Julian?" I asked casually, taking a sip of my coffee. Her breath hitched. She looked away, trying to hide the panic in her eyes. You did this, she whispered, barely audible. You ruined his life. I leaned back in my chair, feigning innocence. Did I? Her lips parted, but she said nothing, because she knew the truth. I had played the game better than her. With Julian out of the picture, Isabella had no one left to run to. The passion she had chased, gone. The love she thought she had found, a lie. She was completely and utterly alone. I made sure of it. I started whispering into the ears of those around her. Friends, coworkers, even her boss. Carefully placed rumors. Subtle hints that led them to doubt her integrity. It didn't take long before the whispers turned into full-blown speculation. I overheard them at a dinner party, watching as Isabella forced a smile while the people around her murmured behind her back. Did you hear about Isabella? Apparently, she's been seeing someone behind Damien's back for months. I heard Julian's fiancée left him because of it. Wow, and to think she always acted so perfect. She heard them too. I could see it in the way her hands shook when she sipped her wine. She was becoming an outcast. And the best part, she had no idea that I was behind it. The next stage of my revenge? Her career. Isabella prided herself on being a top executive at her firm. Respected, powerful, untouchable. I changed that. I leaked her affair to her boss. Not directly, of course. I was too smart for that. I sent anonymous emails to the company's board. Photos, texts, proof. Within 2 weeks, she was under investigation. Within a month, she was suspended. Her so-called professional reputation crushed, and she never even saw it coming. I watched as she came home that night, looking like a ghost of the woman she once was. She dropped her bag at the door, collapsed onto the couch, and buried her face in her hands. Silent, defeated, empty. She had spent so long building a perfect life, only to see it fall apart at the seams. And the best part? She still didn't know how deep my plan went. Not yet. 2 weeks later, her suspension became termination. She was officially jobless. That same night, I came home early. Found her sitting at the kitchen table, a bottle of wine half empty, in front of her. She didn't look at me. She didn't need to. I already won. Did you ever love me? She whispered, staring at the table. I set my keys down and leaned against the counter, watching her. Did you? Her lips trembled. Her eyes were bloodshot, dark circles forming under them from sleepless nights of regret. For the first time, she had no answer, because she knew that the moment she chose Julian, she lost me forever. And now, she was losing everything else. The cracks in her life turned into ruins. She tried reaching out to friends. No one answered. She tried applying for new jobs. No offers. Her savings? Dwindling. The home we shared? No longer hers. Because while she had been busy sneaking around with Julian, I had been preparing my exit. I filed for divorce. But not just any divorce. One that left her with absolutely nothing. No house. No financial support. Not even her dignity. I had made sure that when I walked away, she would be left in ruins. And the best part? I had done it all without laying a single finger on her. Just calculated, merciless destruction. She thought she could betray me and walk away unscathed. She thought wrong. The day the divorce papers arrived, Isabella was a shell of the woman she once was. No more arrogance. No more defiance. No more confidence. Just guilt, shame, and the weight of her own actions crushing her. She tried one last time. She walked up to me, voice shaking. Damien, I made a mistake. I met her eyes, but there was nothing left in me for her. I had given her my love, my loyalty, my devotion. She threw it away. You sure did, I said coldly, stepping past her. She reached for my arm. Please, we can fix this. I let out a quiet laugh. Fix what? Her eyes watered. Us. I pulled my arm away and took a step back. There is no us. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She finally understood. She had ruined everything. And now, she had to live with it. Alone. As I walked out of the house for the last time, I didn't feel anger. I felt free. She had been my biggest mistake. And now, she was nothing but a lesson learned. I walked down the steps without looking back. Behind me, Isabella fell to her knees, sobbing into her hands. But I didn't stop, because I was finally done. She wanted excitement, passion, the thrill of another man. Well, now she had nothing. And me? I had my revenge. And it was glorious. The day I walked out of that house, I thought I was done. I thought I'd closed that chapter, left behind the wreckage of a marriage that had rotted from the inside out. But something strange happened. She wouldn't let go. At first, it was just text messages. Damien, please, can we just talk? I know I messed up, but I still love you. I can't live like this. Please don't shut me out. I ignored every single one. Then, the call started. Blocked numbers. Private messages. Voicemails I didn't bother listening to. She was drowning, and she wanted me to save her. But I wasn't that man anymore. One night, after weeks of silence, I came home to find her sitting on my doorstep. Her hair was messy, her eyes swollen from crying. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. She was falling apart. Please, Damien, she whispered, her voice hoarse. I need you. I stood there, staring down at the woman who had once meant everything to me. Now, she was nothing but a ghost. I leaned against the doorframe, crossing my arms. You need me? Funny. You didn't seem to need me when you were in bed with Julian. She winced, like I had slapped her. I was stupid, she choked out. I thought I wanted something else. I was wrong. I scoffed. Too little, too late, Isabella. Tears slid down her face. I miss you. I miss us. I'd do anything to fix this. I tilted my head, pretending to consider her words. Anything. She nodded frantically. Good, I said coldly. Then suffer. And with that, I stepped inside and shut the door in her face. Her sobs echoed behind me, and for the first time in a long time, I felt nothing. I thought that would be the end of it. But Isabella wasn't done falling. After our divorce was finalized, she lost the house. She couldn't afford to keep it. She lost her friends. None of them wanted to be associated with a woman who had wrecked her own life. She lost her job. My well-placed whispers made sure she never got another high-profile position again. And worst of all, she lost herself. I heard the rumors. How she spent her nights drinking. How she moved from one apartment to another, never staying in one place too long. She had burned every bridge. And now, she was nothing. One night, I got a call from an unknown number. Against my better judgment, I answered. Damien, it's me, she whispered. My grip tightened on the phone. What do you want? A shaky breath. I don't know who I am anymore. I exhaled slowly, pinching the bridge of my nose. Not my problem, Isabella. Please, she begged. Just tell me something. Tell me how to fix this. How to fix myself. I paused. Then I gave her the only answer that mattered. You can't. And then I hung up. She wanted a lifeline, but I wasn't about to give her one. She made her choice. Now, she had to live with it. I moved on. The day my divorce was finalized, I packed my bags and left the city. I started over. A new home, a new job, a new life. For the first time in years, I felt free. I dated again. Nothing serious at first, just casual, easy conversations. But eventually, I met someone who made me forget Isabella ever existed. Her name was Liana. She was the complete opposite of my ex-wife. Warm, kind, loyal. She didn't play games. She didn't make me question my worth. She saw me, really saw me. And one night, as I lay beside her, watching the way the moonlight traced the curve of her cheek, I realized something. I was happy. Isabella had thought she was the center of my world. But now, she was just a distant memory. And I was finally living again. I hadn't seen Isabella in over a year. Until one day, I did. It was completely unexpected. I had taken Liana to a coffee shop downtown, one of those quiet little places tucked away from the rush of the city. And that's when I saw her, sitting alone, hunched over a cup of coffee, staring blankly at the table. She looked empty. Gone was the confident, put-together woman I had once married. In her place was a shadow of what she used to be. Liana nudged me. Do you know her? I hesitated for only a moment before shaking my head. No, I said. I don't. And then, I turned away. I didn't need closure. I didn't need revenge anymore. Because the best revenge was living well. And I was finally doing just that. Isabella never recovered. She never got her old life back. She never found love again. And me? I never looked back. Some people destroy themselves. And some of us rise from the ashes. I didn't need to ruin Isabella. She had already done that all on her own. And that was the greatest victory of all.